EGM Network.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Lou Ciambriello. I'm a realtor in Indian River County, Florida. And if you don't know where that is, it's in the middle of Jacksonville and Miami on the ocean side. And we have a river running through us, not just an ocean, but a river. And today's podcast, I brought in some very, very special friends that are experts in the area. We're not financial experts by any means, but we are boots on the ground when it comes to knowing what to do to add value to your sale of your home, or to add value to your home that you're living in, or for buyers and sellers and listing agents, what they would be telling their sellers or their buyers when they're looking to purchase a property. So without further, without talking about me too much here, I'm going to introduce David Gagnon. Please tell us about yourself, David.
Thank you.
And something interesting, please. Okay?
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Thank you.
I've been in the business for 20 years. Love what I do. It's
It
been
shows.
a great experience, with meeting different people and different situations in life. And when I'm not doing real estate, I'm usually on the water boating or going to the gym or
It's a rough
listening
life.
to some kind of a music.
It's a rough life. I'm
doing
sorry.
some kind of a musical thing.
Oh, and music too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to do community theater years ago, back when
This is my
in the
community
90s.
theater now.
Yeah.
I'm a late starter.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And Chris Junker.
Yes. So I've been in town for 10 years selling real estate, sold over 600 homes now. So consider myself a top producer.
You are.
And as far as who I am outside of real estate, big soccer fan, into Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. And I've been going to some games down there, a little bit of a jog from here, but I go. And a little like David, I used to sing in a band, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. And then, of course,
Oh, we have pictures of that too.
Yeah, we got evidence.
I'm John King. I'm the broker owner of Remax Crown Realty. I've been in the business for quite some time, a little over 20 years, and I also grew up in the business. So this has really been my life for quite a while.
So we're going to be talking today about smart money moves, and they're going to be talking about smart money moves for buyers, smart money moves for sellers, and also if you're going to stay put in your home, maybe we're going to be giving you advice on how you can make your money, get more, the bang for your buck. What is that called? That's called the look for less. Okay, so let's start out with, when you're working with buyers, John, what's the first advice you give them? What's the first conversation, your opening conversation with them?
The first conversation that I like to give buyers when I'm working with them is obviously we've got to establish what the budget is and make sure that they're pre-approved and that they are actually able to purchase a home. But really, the biggest thing for me has always been setting up the wants from the needs, okay, and then trying to help them create that list of, you're never going to get exactly what you want, but there's certain things in a house that you need, like a certain amount of bedrooms if you have children and that kind of stuff, and maybe you don't have the right countertops or cabinet colors, but those are all things that can be changed.
Yeah, they can be
as
changed.
time goes on.
And you can adjust those. And how about you, Chris? What's your first conversation with your buyers?
I think it's their story, where they're coming from. If I find if they're an out-of-stater coming to Florida for the
Reading
first
the
time,
room, yeah, I'm reading the room.
or if they're already in town but just looking to upsize, downsize,
Mhm.
and then obviously things like, are they pre-approved? What's the strategy? Oh, you need to sell your house before you buy the next
We
one.
love those people.
It's really important to know that up front before you chase down, showing them 50 houses and they haven't sold their house.
And how about you, David?
I think just to take off from where Chris left off on that same subject, people, have to sell before they buy. It's an intricate conversation sometimes. They're afraid to be homeless, but at the same time, if they need the proceeds from their current sale,
It's a balance. It's a
we have
balance.
to do
It's really,
kind of like
yeah.
a
I know.
piggyback.
It's a balance when we
sell
get
by.
buyers that need to sell their home in order to buy a home, and I can't stand simultaneous closes, but they're far too often
many of them.
we have them. Okay, so let's talk about how you manage expectations. So you were talking, John, about the must-haves, and then there's also you want to have it, but do you really need it kind of thing. So how do you handle that?
So it's important to, like I said, we have to establish a budget, and it's not necessarily just what you can afford, it's what you should spend. So a lot of times people will come in and say, okay, I'm pre-qualified up to 500,000. And I say, well, that's great, but once we go over the expectations and the wants and even the needs that you have in the house, great, I can get you something for 400. So, I'm always looking down. I never put a basement
Undersell.
to any kind of
I agree.
a search on that.
It's because we want them to be able to go to Starbucks and get a cup of coffee.
Sure.
So,
It's important to live a life.
really and truly, it's a big deal. And how about you, Chris? What do you do?
As far as
Suggesting when they're looking for homes, when they come in and they want to purchase a home and they give you their budget,
Right.
you've read the room, you know where they are, you know they're going to go out with you, and you know they're going to buy. So, and you have a relationship with them now
Right.
because you've been with them for a bit.
Right.
So where do you go from there?
I would say, and I don't want to dive off into another direction, but I do like to start these days, especially with the high interest rates, at looking at new construction.
Yeah, I
feel
agree.
like it's a no-brainer for some folks to go in that direction, especially if they're first-time home buyers. There's incentives there where if you use the builder's lender, they'll pay your closing
And
costs.
new is new. New is new.
New is new. And even
Yeah.
if you're in the
Yeah.
kind of starter home price range of $350 to $450, you can get an FHA loan and buy a house for the cost of a vehicle.
I know.
They will cover your closing costs. They will buy down your interest rates below 5% these days.
Right. And do you have a conversation with them, Dave, about about watching how they spend?
Yeah, I think it's very important. If you have some like FHA buyers that are just minimally qualified, I think it's important to have that conversation about watching their credit during the mortgage time frame from
Exactly.
the contract to closing.
Exactly.
Very important, especially if they're on the line. I know several people.
We
in the
have that
past
conversation. I try to remind them often, please don't buy anything.
Right. Don't buy the
anything.
furniture
Yeah.
for the house on credit.
Don't do anything. Don't do anything yet. Okay, so let's talk about if you're listing a property for the seller, what if they had $1,000 and that's all they had to spend? But I know all of us here chip in, which is that's a secret. We don't like to tell that. But if they only have $1,000, what do you suggest that they put their money into, John?
So that's going to be house specific. So, depending on what you walk into as to what needs the most correction, cleaning is a big thing. That really shouldn't cost anything. That's just really time. But I've always been a big fan of houses that have a great curb appeal. So we're talking landscaping, fresh mulch, pressure cleaning, and that kind of stuff. When a buyer walks up to a home, they either want to like it or they don't want to like it. Before they even go inside, and that's largely based on just the curb appeal.
You want to get them in the door, and
Yep.
if it looks schmuggly on the outside, they
don't even want to
they don't
go
want to
in
go in through the door. And how about you, Chris? If they have $1,000, where would you put it? I know you're
pretty
very generous.
similar. I mean, I tend to be the guy who comes and brings 30 bags of mulch, and it's red mulch because I want it to pop,
Yeah.
and pressure washing if necessary. If not, I'm out there with the broom. If it's somebody elderly or out of state, brooming off the back
I
door
know.
and the windows.
People ask why I have a blower in my car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Blowing out the driveway, and then
Never
kind
know.
of maintaining that level of maintenance throughout the listing. Because nowadays, at the moment, we know that listings sometimes can sit on the market a little bit longer.
A little bit longer,
You don't
right.
want to be the agent that 1 or 2 months into a listing, you haven't visited the property and there's leaves all over the driveway or the front porch after a storm. So
Well, I
if
check
they're
my
not home,
houses
you're
every
maintaining
day.
it.
I check my homes every day, but I'm local. I don't. You guys go all over. Mary Lou just stays in the North County, but I check my empty properties
But
every
just
day.
like John said,
Yeah.
I mean, the other minor things you might do are if you've got a lot of artwork and things on the walls, when you take them off, you got a bunch of nails, and when you remove those nails, you have 1 million nail holes in your house. If you can just have somebody affordable, or if you're handy enough, patch those holes and do some touch-up paint. Not saying paint the inside for thousands of dollars, but possibly match the paint and do a little touch-up.
Exactly.
It can go a long way, well under $1,000.
And how about you, David?
Yeah, I think paint is a big thing.
I think paint's really great.
People say, well, they're going to choose the color they want anyway, but it's about initial appearance.
And it cleans.
Initial impression.
And it smells good.
Yeah, it smells good. It smells fresh. They can
yeah.
always change the color later, but if
Exactly.
it's a modern, day color that people like anyway, chances are they may even keep it.
And it's really interesting. So now, John, if you could travel back in time, okay, when you were a young guy and you bought your first, and you're still a young guy, which is really, kind of makes me feel sad that I'm not a young
get older
guy
every day.
or a young woman. But anyway, if you could travel back in time, what would you tell your younger self, your first-time home buyer self, if you were buying a home?
Okay, so my first home, I actually built it because I'm pretty
course.
particular of the layout and everything, and I have a great relationship with a lot of builders. So my first purchase was actually a lot, And my father gave me great advice that I did not take, because the
He was
front
your
of the
father.
it
That's
was
why.
the front of the property faced to the east, so the back porch. And I love being outdoors. I love being on my back porch, and the back porch faced west. So about 6-7 months out of the year, it was completely unusable. I built a beautiful deck out there that just sat because it was just way too hot all summer.
Okay, and same question to you. What would you do? What would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time and you on your first property that you purchased?
Well, I was lucky in a way that I was like 27 years old.
Good
when
for
I bought
you.
my first home.
Mhm.
I saved a long time, lived at home to do that.
Lucky
A long
parents.
time.
They were happy to have
Yeah,
you.
we get along well. And so they knew what my goals were. And I was able to do that
That's
because
nice.
of them.
Yeah,
know?
that was
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had great
yeah,
parents as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Yeah, good.
So what would
Yeah.
you tell your younger self? Just
Oh,
save money?
Well, yeah, save as much money as you can. Don't get caught up into today's world of being, footloose and fancy free
Exactly.
with spending. It's going to pay off in the long run. And, build yourself up. I worked since I was 16 years old, mowing lawns when I was 11.
It's
you know.
it's important, with
Yeah.
work ethic is everything,
Yeah.
and it shows
Yeah,
in your
you'll-
real estate. And
I'm
how about
saying
you?
Good
Go
things
ahead.
come to those who wait.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a good waiter. Damn, I'm good at that. And I either waiting on tables or just
Yeah.
general
There you
waiting.
go.
Okay, and Chris, how about you? What would you tell your younger self
Yeah,
if
so
you were
I would tell
purchasing?
myself if I was back, say, 25 or 30 years old, not buying a house yet or about to, that 10 years goes by much faster than you realize when you're 20. You think, every year
Yeah.
feels like forever. But honestly, by the time life happens to you, you blink and you were 25, now you're 35. You blink and then you're going to be 45.
Prime example right here.
And so the first thing I would tell myself at say 25 is do everything you can to save up enough money for a down payment on a home. Even if it means it's an FHA loan and you only saved up 3.5%, and you went and bought new construction, they covered your closing costs. Figure out a way to get $15,000, back then probably $8,000,
Mhm.
and just own something. Instead of paying a landlord, pay yourself and get your equity built up in a home, and that will pay off, in spades for the next decades of your life. But if you don't get started, it's like every
It's not
investment
going to
you
happen.
make.
Yeah.
You're playing catch up the rest of your life.
But the thing, you can build wealth. I mean, it's always exciting for me when I have young buyers that really understand that they can build wealth and they really get the process. For my husband and I, we bought our first building. I was 19, okay, and I had to go to the bank to borrow $1,000 so I could afford the closing costs. And then the huge mistake I made was that we had 3 pages of violations on the property, and we didn't know about it. We bought an apartment building, and I would tell you to check for those things because it's not nice to have to appear in front of the board of people and beg for mercy so that you could make those repairs. So that's what we had to do.
And some of that you wouldn't know as, say, a 19-year-old, but that would be then the next clue in, which is make sure you're working with an experienced realtor.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't have a realtor. But there was, it was quite an experience. And why should buyers and sellers work with a local agent? I mean,
The
it's
exact
an
reason
obvious.
Chris just laid out there, which is a prime example.
It's an example.
That we as realtors, we're licensed in the entire state of Florida. So I could go sell something in Tallahassee. I could go sell something in Key West. Does that mean that I know the real estate market and all the ins and outs of owning property in Tallahassee? No, not at all. I don't know if there's pending special assessments that are coming in. I don't know that there is they're going to put a landfill on a specific site. Now here you're selling a house right beside it. So, you have to have that local knowledge. You need to know all the ins and outs of the local economy and housing market. And a prime example of this, my parents, quite a few years ago, they were trying to buy a house down in the Keys, and we have the MLS system, we have the licenses, we have everything to do that. And my dad looked around for a little bit. He called up the local Remax broker down there and said, I just want to be represented. I don't want your commission. I don't want a referral fee. I don't want anything. This is what I like. This is the lifestyle that I'm looking for. Please help me. And her name's Joanne Cook. She did a fantastic job.
And that's what people need to understand, because we do specialize, and real estate is so very local. It can even be